My listeners are very interested around alcohol, obviously, Olivia. So maybe you could walk us through how compromising alcohol is to our sleep quality.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I would be more than happy to share that. I think the main factor that is involved in alcohol and how it impacts sleep is that it limits REM sleep. So REM is that deep quality sleep that we need for emotional regulation and for memory consolidation. And it happens in the second part of the night. So typically between 3 a.m. and after. So if you have had alcohol the night before, you'll find that you're often waking around 3 a.m., 4 a.m., 5 a.m. Because when you move through your sleep cycles and you go into REM sleep because you had alcohol the night before, you actually can't get into that deep sleep. This has a two-part effect. A, you sleep more lightly, so you're more likely to wake up and therefore be more exhausted in the morning. But two, you actually limit your capacity to attain 25% REM sleep, which is exactly the sleep, the quantity of sleep that we need in REM sleep to feel our best. And when I say feel our best, I mean, as I mentioned before, it's important for memory consolidation and for emotional regulation. And studies have found that depriving an individual of REM sleep makes them more emotionally volatile. So they're more reactive, they're more perceptive of negative stimuli in the environment, and they're more irritated and agitated. Now, what was really interesting is this study that I mentioned is that they actually deprived individuals of sleep overall, but they found that it wasn't just a lack of sleep. It was specifically the lack of REM sleep. So they had the individuals sleep for only 4% of their total sleep time in REM sleep versus the normal 21%. And that's exactly what they found. But in order to know that it was REM sleep that caused this shift in their mood, they also had individuals deprived of complete sleep, so like hours of sleep, limiting them to only 4 hours a night, but still getting more REM sleep than that other group of 4%. And they were less emotionally reactive and less volatile. Now remember, alcohol, it's really interesting. And so alcohol, that's what alcohol does to REM sleep and therefore your mood. And so when you wake the next day and you're feeling irritated, you're feeling exhausted, you feeling not quite yourself, it's not just that you've had alcohol, it's that you haven't had enough REM sleep.
Yeah. And that shows up with irritability and fatigue and lethargy and probably snapping at your husband or wife or your children or the person who cuts you off in the traffic. Poor sleep really does equal like a poor lifestyle, I guess. I mean, no matter what your circumstances in life, if you're not sleeping well, then it's often going to feel challenging, isn't it?
It is, definitely. You know, the side effects of sleeplessness, 29% of all workplace errors can be attributed to fatigue. There's a 37% rise in stress hormone cortisol after just one night of insufficient sleep. And that can leave you even more anxious and more irritable. When you don't sleep enough, you don't detoxify from a neurotoxin called beta amyloid, which can contribute to memory loss, that sense of brain fog. And long-term, beta amyloid plaques build up in the brain and contribute and are a hallmark sign of Alzheimer's disease. Now, these are just some of the cognitive effects. If you look at the physical effects as well, 70% of human growth hormone is produced in slow wave sleep, and that's the key hormone responsible for cellular repair and recovery. So if you're not getting enough sleep, you can say goodbye to your cells functioning at their best, you feeling at your best. But I think a lot of people are aware of these things, but I don't think there's as great of an awareness about how significant it is to lack sleep, but also how easy it is to improve sleep when you have the right information.
Well, Well, before we get into what some of that right information is and how we can improve our sleep, what's your sleep quality like, Olivia? Tell us your sleep story.
Sure. I would say my sleep is quite good. Majority of the time, I'll admit that I'm not perfect. I don't do my sleep routine perfect every night. But overall, I always, provided I'm at home and I have my equipment, or I haven't forgotten my equipment at home if I'm staying with family, for example, blocking out blue light in the evening is my number one. Light is the main factor to control the circadian rhythm. There is nothing more important than blocking out blue light in the evening to improve your sleep quality. So I know that if I don't do that, I struggle to fall asleep and I'm going to struggle to stay asleep. Particularly for me personally, I'm very, very sensitive. I have a cup of green tea and it stimulates me for like days. That's green tea for me is like a coffee. But my system's very, very sensitive and my eyes are very, very good. And so, I can be in a very, very dark room but still be able to see properly. And so if I'm using regular lights or in a home that have regular lights, or even if I just look at my phone for, a few minutes, that is enough to, and I feel it because I'm very in touch with my body and in touch with, the sensations of light. And when I block it out and when I don't, I know that when I look at a screen without my blue light glasses, literally it feels like my brain is just on fire. I literally, seriously. But I'm sure you've noticed as well, if you're wearing your glasses all afternoon and all evening, and then suddenly you take them off, it's like crack for your brain. It's crazy. So I think
it's like staring into the sun, isn't it? It's kind of like, when there's a solar eclipse and you're a little child and the parents say, don't look at the sun, but then you just can't help yourself. You're kind of looking at the sun. That's how it feels. I mean, it is nuts. I wear my blue light blocking glasses at night with the orange lens. And obviously I'm wearing my own brand because I'm biased. Swannies from Swanic Sleep.
Yeah.
And I will be on the screen at night. I will be using the screen, wearing my glasses. But then just on occasion, just to test, just to see the contrast, I'll kind of just put my finger up and move my glasses down over my nose just to take a quick look. And I'm like, oh, that's horrendous, that light. It's horrendous.
Right? It's absolutely horrendous. And the thing is that most people don't have that contrast.
No.
And the thing is that I get, it's really interesting, as a sleep coach, that's what I do as well. People will come to me and they're like, oh, I just keep on waking up all night. All I'm doing in the evening is I'm doing all the right things. I've got my magnesium and I'm trying not to look at my phone. I'm just falling asleep in front of Netflix and suddenly I wake up all night. I just don't get it. I'm like, oh God.
Yeah.
He's problem one.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think, in terms of my sleep routine, that's my absolute number one. Outside of that, I'm very good taking my magnesium. I notice a huge difference when I do or when I don't. And similarly, very, very good with my shower. I notice a big difference when I do or when I don't. And, clinically that it works though, because showering encourages a drop in your core body temperature after you emerge from the warmer shower to the cooler bathroom, which is a cue for melatonin synthesis. So those three I'm very, very good at. I like to read and like to journal, but sometimes that's kind of like a 50-50 thing. Sometimes that I'll be working late, or I might have gone for a walk, or I'll just be, just faffing around my house, just pottering, putting things away, whatever. And then literally as soon as I get into bed, I will just lay in bed, and within about 5 minutes, and I'm just laying there, just breathing. I'm just reflecting. I try and practice a few gratitudes, either mentally or write them down. And by the time I've done that, I'm often just fast asleep.
Yeah.
What does your sleep routine look like?
Well, I wake up when I wake up in the morning, I try to get as much natural sunlight as possible within 10 or 15 minutes. So if I wake up,
Beautiful.
I'll either go outside, or if it's cold and rainy, as it has been where I am the last week or so, I'll stand on the veranda or by a window and let the sunlight hit my skin. Because as I understand it, our skin has receptors in it, and when the sunlight hits our skin and the sunlight is going into our eyes, it's telling our internal body clock, our circadian rhythm, hey, it's daytime, and our body starts to flood with cortisol and daytime hormones, and we start to become alert and active and energetic and all of those kind of things. So I'll do that. Studies have also shown that people who exercise in the morning tend to sleep better, and they think it's because of a couple of reasons. One, because people who exercise in the morning tend to do it more regularly, and so they tend to be less stressed and anxious and healthier anyway. And then also, the closer you work out to bedtime, the higher your core body temperature, which is not great for a good night's sleep. So I'll try to exercise in the morning. If I'm in a phase of drinking coffee, I'll make sure that I do not drink any coffee within 8 hours of sleep. So, I just have made a blanket rule that I'll never consume coffee after 12 p.m., if at all. And then I always try my best to complete my eating within 3 hours of sleep, and to give my body time to digest the food, so that when I do fall asleep, my body's not having to work. I want to do everything I can to put it into a deep restorative phase. And obviously, I'm always wearing my blue light blocking glasses in the last 45 minutes to an hour before I want to sleep. So they're kind of like the main things, as well as always ensuring that I'm sleeping in a cool temperature around 18 degrees Celsius or 65 to 69 degrees Fahrenheit. And then I wear a sleep mask as well, and try to, if I can, have dark curtains and try to keep the sunlight out so it doesn't wake me up too early in the morning.
I love it. You get a gold star from myself as a sleep expert.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you. Wow, I wasn't expecting that. Thank you. That's nice of you.
You might even get a medal or a trophy.
Is there something that I missed out of all that then? Or what was thumbs up, and what could I add or do differently?
All of those things, definitely thumbs up. What I would add I would actually be wearing your glasses longer. So I'd be trying to block out blue light. If you are a minimum of 2 hours, but upwards towards 3 if you are a wolf chronotype. If you are a lion, though, then 2 hours is fine. But yeah, that definitely extending blue light blocking would be a way to sleep even better. Outside of that, you can definitely take lavender oil capsules in the evening. They've been found to reduce anxiety by 45%, but in a 2010 study. And that was an interesting study because they actually compared the effects of lavender oil capsules on anxiety compared to benzodiazepines on anxiety. And they found that benzodiazepines reduced anxiety by 46%, only 1% more than lavender oil capsules. And the researchers concluded that they were as effective as each other, which I find really interesting, because you can take lavender oil capsules long term, but you definitely cannot take benzodiazepines long term. So that would be one. That's an interesting one. That would be one I would add to your sleep kit. Outside of that, I love that you're exposing yourself to natural light. Definitely in the first hour, the circadian rhythm's the most sensitive. And yes, exactly as you're saying, it awakens the body in a sense that we produce cortisol and then serotonin as well, another awakening hormone. And it also suppresses our melatonin levels, which is exactly the opposite of what we want to do in the evening. So that's great. And agree, morning exercise, that is hugely beneficial, not only for mental health, which then has bidirectional links to sleep, but also because it acts as a Zeitgeber, a factor to control the circadian rhythm as well. And so by exercising, you're also producing cortisol, serotonin, dopamine, awakening hormones. And that's definitely what you want at the start of the day, not the end. So yes, gold tick there. No caffeine after 12. That's great. Yes. Not eating within 3 hours of bedtime. That's definitely a great strategy as well. Obviously, there's no alcohol. That's a gold tick there. Keeping a cool temperature in the evening for your bedroom. You mentioned what was the degrees Celsius? I missed that.
Yeah, 18 degrees Celsius. Yeah.
Yes, perfect. Yeah, so it's interesting because a lot of people think 18 degrees is too cold, but that's actually that's clinically what has been found to be most effective for melatonin production.
Yes.
So that's great. Outside of that, using blackout curtains, great. You can also incorporate more elements into your sleep sanctuary. Things like an eye mask can be really effective. Removing all technology from your bedroom can be really effective. Ensuring that you're having a consistent sleep-wake schedule, that would be a definite recommendation. And of course, knowing your chronotype, that's going to be really helpful as well to make sure that you are using the strategies best for your chronotype. So when I speak about chronotypes, that's the concept of my book. And basically that's just for your listeners who aren't familiar with chronotypes, essentially it's a categorization system reflecting if you're an early riser and early to bed, a late riser and late to bed, or fall in the middle. Early risers are lions, late risers are wolves, those in the middle are bears. There is much more to the concept, but that's just a very brief overview. And so that's actually why I gave the variation in how long you should wear blue light glasses for. So wolves, they typically have the greatest difficulties with sleep, and they have a circadian misalignment in that they prefer to sleep around 12 or 1 o'clock in the morning, but that's not conducive to society because they need to typically wake up by 7. So if they do go to bed so late, they're going to be sleep deprived. So they need to be wearing blue light glasses for 3 hours, whereas to allow themselves to fall asleep at a reasonable time of, say, 11 o'clock. Whereas if you're a lion, then you only need to block it out for 2 hours because your circadian rhythm means that you are happy to go to bed around 10 o'clock anyway. So that's just a very surface level reflection of what you're doing. But outside of that, there is definitely ways that you can tweak your diet, making sure that you're having optimal levels of protein, protein forms the building blocks of tryptophan in particular, forms a building block of melatonin, our sleepiness hormone, making sure you're having enough omega-3s. That's been found hugely beneficial to regulate melatonin production, especially in the face of stress. There's complementary medicines you can have as well. So things like ashwagandha, reishi mushrooms have huge bodies of scientific evidence that support their capacity to improve sleep, as does complementary medicines like meditation, yoga, and mindfulness activities.
Yeah, I sometimes try GABA as well, GABA.
Yes.
I have a supplements brand called Swan Vitality, and I have a product called GABA Calm, which is sort of neurotransmitter and hormone support. And the one I've got on my website at the moment is cherry flavor, which is pretty delicious. So I like those things. Like I like to take magnesium and GABA and a few supplements. I think everyone wants some kind of magic pill, and I don't think that there is. So I always say, and maybe you can correct me or agree with me, that I always say that in my opinion, the biggest leverage point for helping you sleep is light manipulation, which is get as much natural light in the morning and block as much artificial light at night. And then after that, supplements can help. Would you agree with that sentiment, or am I simplifying it?
No, that is exactly what I would agree with 100%. There is nothing more important than controlling light. It is the number one factor to influence your circadian rhythm, which controls your melatonin production and controls your cortisol production and serotonin production. So light either allows melatonin to be produced and therefore you fall asleep with ease and stay asleep with ease, or light suppresses melatonin and you struggle to fall asleep. I found it, I'm sure that you're familiar with many of the research studies around, around blue light glasses, but there was one that I found the other day that I found was really interesting, and it was a 2016 Japanese study by Japanese researchers, and they found that individuals were able to wearing blue light glasses for 2 hours before bed, were able to fall asleep faster, 79%. So we're able to fall asleep 79% faster and spent half the amount of time awake through the night compared to a night when they didn't wear the glasses. They slept more efficiently and they felt more refreshed upon waking. We all want a magic pill. And for me, the magic pill that I recommend is blue light glasses, because it's so easy. All you do is you put them on your face. There's very little effort required. We're all very busy, overwhelmed, overworked individuals. Let's look for simple solutions. It's a simple solution and it works.
Yeah, it's funny though, because I've been producing these blue light blocking glasses since 2015, and there's still a real Herculean effort needed to educate people on this. There's still people are going, oh, what's that blue light kind of thing? Like, people understand coffee, food, shoes, apparel, fashion, skincare. Like, you don't have to think that hard with that, right? Like, it hits the reptilian part of the brain. But when you start trying to say, well, an orange lens blocks out the artificial blue light that stimulates your pituitary and pineal glands, which suppresses your melatonin production, is kind of like, what did you say? So it's been, I found it challenging over the years to really reach, let's say, the masses. Up until now, it's really been, people who are really enthusiastic about their health have paid attention, but those who are kind of, it's hard to explain the technology to them and them to really grasp it. At least that's been my experience. You mentioned a few studies there. We actually put our glasses through a study which was run by the University of Washington, and then Harvard Business Review published the findings in its publication, as well as Psychology Today. And I've just got the results here in front of me. So participants who wore the glasses said that they improved the quality of their sleep by 14%, and their productivity, that is the following day after waking, or the day that they woke, their productivity increased by 9%. Now, I don't know about you, but if you go into any corporation across the world and say, hey, I can raise the productivity of your workforce by 9%, that's going to equate to tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars of increased impact and revenue.
Definitely.
So whether it's, obviously I'm biased because I've got my own brand, but whether you're using our brand or using another pair of blue light blocking glasses, there is enough research, there's enough studies, there's enough evidence now to really support, like, if quality sleep is your goal, you've got to invest in a pair of blue light blocking glasses.
I would 100% agree with that sentiment. Absolutely. There's no way around it. The thing is that you can do everything else right, but if you don't get that right, then you'll struggle. And that's actually what I find with a lot of my clients. They do all the other things right, they cut out coffee, they keep a dark room, they don't eat too late. But then they're not doing the most important thing. You can't get around it. And as a result, they either struggle to fall asleep, they either struggle to stay asleep, or both.
Yes.
And I think
Go ahead.
Sorry. I think it's, gosh, I think my laptop's about to go flat. That's what I think. I'm going to move to my charging station. I'm very glad I just saw that. One moment, please.
No problems at all. Yeah, well, while you're doing that, I'll just I'll keep talking here. Particularly if you're drinking alcohol, just to go back to that main point, the body has to work to get rid of all the toxins that you've just consumed. So while it's true that a glass of wine or a beer or whatever you drink at the end of the day may indeed help you to become sleepy and even help you to fall asleep, all the evidence suggests that the quality of your sleep is compromised, which is what Olivia was speaking about earlier. So, any amount of alcohol, even a seemingly innocent glass, is enough to really mess with you the following day.
It is. There was a study that found just one glass reduced sleep quality by 9%.
Wow.
Whereas moderate intake reduced sleep quality by 24%. And then heavy intake reduced sleep quality by 39%.
Yeah.
So people, this is another question I get. They're like, so can I just have one glass? It's like, well, you can do whatever you want. But I always say to them, like, you're seeing me as a sleep coach to give you the best advice. What you do with that advice is up to you. But if you want best results, if you want to see the fastest improvement, if you want the most reliable improvement, and you want to know that I am doing everything I can to get the best quality sleep and to feel my best the next day, and you want to own that, and you want to truly honor that, then you won't drink.
Yeah.
It's about being honest with yourself and holding yourself accountable as well.
Yeah. What's your alcohol lifestyle like, Olivia? How much do you drink, or have you drunk in the past, drink now? Like, what's your relationship with alcohol been?
So I do drink, but I wouldn't say I drink regularly anymore. I noticed during lockdown, I was drinking quite a lot. Like, I really noticed it over the past few years. I was probably drinking I would never drink a lot at one time. I just physically can't. I'm a small human, and if I drink too much, I literally just fall asleep. So it's a very easy way not to drink too much.
Yeah.
But now I have a principle of mindful consumption. If I'm mindful about it and it has real value to my life, and I'll be honest with you, I enjoy the experience of it. I enjoy the experience with my family, with my friends. And if I feel like it's a valid reason why I'm going to be drinking, then I'll allow it. But if it's just for the sake of just having a drink because everyone else is, and I don't feel like it serves me, then I won't. And I'm pretty I'm pretty independent in that way. Like, if somebody, if I'm at an event or something and everyone else is around me drinking, but I just feel like just not, then I don't have a problem saying, no, I'm drinking my soda water and whatnot. I don't really get that FOMO kind of thing, which is a plus. But yeah, there are still times where I do question it for my own value outside of what everyone else is doing, and I will enjoy it. Yes.
Yeah, right. Nice one. Yeah. It's incredible how my sleep transformed as soon as I stopped drinking alcohol. I mean, my whole life transformed when I stopped drinking alcohol, but I remember my sleep in the first 7 days wasn't great. In fact, if anything, it was probably a little bit worse from when I stopped. And then all of a sudden, when it moved to sort of day 8, day 9, day 10, wow, I was just sleeping through the night and waking up feeling amazing. And it's the experience of many of my clients in this 90-day experience we have, where we help high performers to stop drinking for 90 days. They tell me that in the first 7 days, they experience maybe even a little bit of additional irritability from not drinking. And I say it's perfectly normal, because your body's been used to it feeding it certain substance or toxins for many years, and now you're depriving it of that toxin. There's going to be some shifts in your body, but just stick it out. Just stick it out. And they do. And then, most of the time around day 7, sleep just becomes beautiful, something to look forward to, not something to fear. And it's not just duration either. It's quality of sleep. It's how you feel when you wake up, really.
Yeah.
I got just a couple questions, Olivia, if I may.
Please.
One of them was just quickly about the shower at night. I was under the possibly mistaken impression that having a hot shower so close to bedtime would raise your core body temperature, which would therefore be not conducive to a good night's sleep. But then you were saying that a hot shower close to bedtime is good because your core body temperature drops as soon as you get out of the hot shower. Could you just clarify that?
Sure. So it's a very common question. So I completely understand where you're coming from. The key is you want to have a lukewarm shower, not a hot shower. And you also, for best results, you'll have it 60 to 90 minutes before bed. That's what the research shows is the most beneficial for sleep. And it's possible if you're having a really hot shower, literally 5 minutes before bed, that the opposite will happen, in that you'll be still warm and you wouldn't have cooled down sufficiently. So yeah, the key to that one is to have sufficient time before bed for the shower and have it not too warm.
So if you're out in the snow and you're in an outdoor jacuzzi and you're loving it, you don't want to be in that jacuzzi within an hour of planning on going to sleep. You want to get that over and done with about 90 minutes before your planned bedtime.
Ideally, yes. Yes. I think we can all, whether in the jacuzzi or not, maybe just the visualization of the jacuzzi, though, that would be helpful for sleep as well.
Okay, it's such a weird analogy that I came up with. Oh, so you're in the snow and you're in a jacuzzi. I don't know why that came into my brain, but
it's okay. I like thinking of jacuzzis in snow time. That's what we're all aiming for. That's why we want to get better quality sleep, so then we can enjoy experiences like that.
Yeah. I forgot what my other clarifying question was, to be honest. What was it? Let me think on this. What was it? What was I thinking? No, I can't think of it. What do you think is, besides your clients not wearing blue light blocking glasses and not blocking their eyes, what do you think is the number one culprit or the number one bad habit that is contributing to their poor sleep? That's not blue light.
High stress levels.
Got it. Well, okay, great. Sorry, not great, but let's talk about that as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I might, let me correct myself, unmanaged stress levels. We all have stress. What we do about stress is different. If you're not, if you're allowing stress to run your life and you feel a victim to it and you feel like you have no control over what you say yes or no to, and that, you just have to continue on this path of, being so busy that you don't have 2 seconds to scratch yourself. And then when one thing goes wrong, everything goes wrong because, everything needs to stack up perfectly in a nice, neat bow, which doesn't ever actually happen. if you subscribe to that busy lifestyle, which is inherently intertwined with stress, then this is highly likely to contribute to sleeping problems. And it's self-reported the number one reason why people can't sleep. People get because of stress. People don't understand about blue light, but people get stress.
It's a racing mind, isn't it? I mean, I can speak from firsthand experience. Recently, I am experiencing higher levels of stress and anxiety. So for the most part, I would say 85% of the time, I have a very stress-free life, and I've manipulated my environment to ensure that happens. However, I'm in that 15% at the moment, and have been for about 4 to 6 weeks. Some stuff going on with one of my companies. There's a few issues going on. I'm being called to step up and really lean out of my comfort zone, I should say, and it's causing me a level of stress and anxiety that I don't ordinarily experience. And I am noticing certainly that my sleep patterns have changed as a result of this newfound stress and anxiety. For example, I'm actually going to sleep a lot earlier, and I'm waking up incredibly early. And I never wake up this early. Usually I wake up between 6:30 and 7:15. That's the way it's been for many, many years, somewhere around that kind of spot. But since I've had this stress and anxiety, I've been waking up at 4 a.m., 4:30. Sometimes I woke up at 3 a.m. If I sleep in till 5:15 or 5:30, I mean, I consider that a sleep in at the moment, which is so bizarre because I never get up this early ever. And then, of course, it's still dark at that time, and I'm not blasting myself with a light, and I'm just kind of staying in bed, or I'm get up, and if I do start working on a computer, and I'm waiting for the sunlight to come out. So I guess that's just a long-winded story just to say that I have experienced how damaging to sleep stress can be.
Do you want me to share with you why that happens?
Yes.
Sure. So around 3 a.m., the circadian rhythm directs cortisol to rise in preparation for wake the next morning. So if your cortisol levels, which is indicative of your stress levels, if they're too high, when your body experiences that normal rise, your cortisol levels will be so high that it'll awaken you from sleep. And a lot of the time what happens is, even if you wake up once and then you do go back to sleep, then you wake up when you're in that lighter sleep stage around 90 minutes later again.
Yes.
Does that sound familiar?
Yeah, so high cortisol from stress triggers high cortisol at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, got it. Yeah. Okay. That's what's happening. Yeah, makes sense. And so the solution to that is to do anything I can to reduce my stress and anxiety, obviously.
Correct. Correct.
Yeah. The other question I had was around using the bathroom in the middle of the night, folks getting up to urinate. And I've noticed certainly recently, but generally speaking, I will get up in the night at least once. And most of the time I can go back to bed and fall asleep and then sleep right through. But recently, since I've had this higher stress experience, I wake up, I use the bathroom, go back into bed, fall asleep, and then I might get up a couple more times before I ultimately get out of bed to, start the day, so to speak. Anything that you might suggest is going on there?
Well, the thing is that the bladder is reactive to stress and your cortisol levels, so it's definitely all connected there. You'll find that when you have your stress levels at a level that is reasonable for you, that will naturally subside. How do I encourage that? A lot of the strategies that we mentioned before, like I think we shared about, good 30. Each of those in themselves can support lower stress levels, help activate the parasympathetic nervous system, and lower that level of cortisol. So, strategies to manage that would be, were the same strategies that we shared earlier in the show.
Yeah. Great. Okay. Well, this is all making sense. Any other final thoughts or generally about sleep, Olivia?
I think sleep. I think one, final takeaway is that it doesn't need to be guesswork. It doesn't need to be, a roulette game, and it shouldn't be. There are scientific ways each night that you can improve your sleep and reliably get deep quality sleep each and every night. And with that awareness, if you're struggling to sleep or you're not proactively improving your sleep, then I would recommend that, go through the recommendations, employ them. If you want extra support, contact me. I'll leave my contact details in the show notes. Because sleep doesn't have to be a puzzle, and it shouldn't be a puzzle. It should be just something that happens every night reliably. It works for you just like your light switch works. Like, there are set strategies that you can employ that allow you to get the sleep you need each and every night. And when you have them, the empowerment you have throughout the day to know that, yes, you can say yes to that project, and yes, you can say yes to that 5 p.m. meeting. It's just so empowering, and it gives us choice and it gives us freedom. I think that's all what we want. So,
yeah. Well said. Well said, Olivia. Olivia Arezzolo. Olivia, where can we find more about you? Where can our listeners connect with you?
Sure. I have my website, which is oliviaarezzolo.com.au. That's a great space. Outside of that, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, I have an email. I will leave all of my contact details in the show notes. I think a great place to start is on my website, I've got a chronotype quiz, which allows you to identify your chronotype and maximize your sleep quality when you learn the tips that you need for your sleep type. So I think as people want a first step, that would be my first recommendation, outside of connecting with me and, sharing more about their story, because I'm sure you're in the same boat here, James. We do this because we genuinely want to help people. So nothing thrills us more than when somebody slides into our inbox and says, I heard you on a podcast. I'm like, oh, great. Thank you. I'm so glad I'm helpful.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Thank you for having me. Pleasure.
Of course. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your experience and your guidance, helping our listener to navigate all things sleep. I really appreciate you. And Australia's leading sleep expert, Olivia Arezzolo. And to you, the listener, thank you so much for being here. Have a great night's sleep tonight, and I'll talk to you on the next one.
Thanks, James.
Here are 5 ways I can support you on your health journey. Number 1, the Better AF group support. You can go to alcoholfreelifestyle.com/betteraf. That is group virtual coaching to help you to stop drinking. The YouTube channel at alcoholfreelifestyle.com/YouTube. The book, Alcohol Freedom Formula, can be found at alcoholfreelifestyle.com/guide. My liver cleanse from my supplements company, Swan Vitality, at swanvitality.com. And protect your eyes from screens by wearing a pair of Swannies blue light blocking glasses from my sleep company, Swanic Sleep. You can find that at swannies.com. Catch you on the next one.